it's something like monist, but they believe that all religions come from one source and they all teach the same timeless truths and they all have the same moral underpinnings, which is absolutely not true, because some religions are evil. And the, Muhammad needs to be considered in the light of this, and we need to consider him as an example of the moral decline, the moral depravity that we need to avoid, on the same plane as someone like Hitler. I mean, we do need to see him as an opposite of Jesus, not as someone. I mean, they're not Abrahamic. That's a false claim. So, your thoughts on that, Thaddeus?
Yeah, if you advance it one more time, we asked the question, was Muhammad bearing good fruit or bearing bad fruit? This is the kind of fruit that I picture Muhammad as: a rotten, disgusting thing that belongs in the trash. This is the visual picture of who Muhammad is, the type of fruit that he bears. Jesus is the good shepherd. Jesus is the source of truth. Jesus is the light of the world. Muhammad is the counterfeit. Muhammad is the man who was correct. He was attacked by a demon in a cave, and unfortunately, he was convinced by his relatives to take that demon and make that demon his God. And this is the result of it. The horrible tree that is the demon that Muhammad was attacked by is bearing the disgusting fruit of Islam through Muhammad.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. The group is called Omnists. They're called Omnists. This is exactly it. Yeah, we're still getting occasional network dropouts, but OBS is showing 100%. YouTube is showing 100%. This is very strange. Yeah.
Yeah, and to be clear, it's the transmission from you to me has been perfect the whole time. Obviously, I don't know when I was talking, but
yeah, we've
whenever
had a
you're
perfect
talking,
transmission, so
it's been
that's
perfect. So I think it's got to be on YouTube's end.
yeah, because I'm seeing zero issues on my end. Quite honestly, it's showing perfect. Everything's green. Um, yeah. So yeah, that good grief. Um, yeah, I mean, it makes me ill to think about this. It makes me ill to go into these things. It's you know, so I think yes, horse. It's like omnis in Latin. I think it's like that. I can't be sure. Yeah. So any final comment? Because I'll just yeah. I mean, this is horrible. I mean, this is horrific. This man. This is written in his official sources. You've got Jesus as someone who did not commit sin, even within the Islamic sources, and you've got Muhammad, who, according to any logical standard, was incredibly sinful, violent, and depraved.
And again, I I don't even have to put judgment on this, right? I don't even have to say it's wrong to be a caravan robber. All I have to look at is the comparison of who Muhammad was before and who he was after. And in every case, every single character trait that is ascribed by Islamic sources to Muhammad from before the time he was a prophet and is seen as a positive character trait, it's contradicted by his prophethood. It's turned on its head. Everything's turned upside down, according to, not me, Islam's sources. They say he was a great man, and then he became this other thing. And you can say, well, if Allah says that Muhammad's allowed to have 9 wives, then he's allowed to have 9 wives. That's missing the point.
Yeah, I
It's
mean, he
making
potentially
him
had as
worse.
many as 22 wives over his career because he divorced people and remarried. So he may have had as many as 22 wives. Right. And
Well,
then,
to be
yeah,
clear, any Muslim can have 22 wives, right? But they can only have 4 at one time.
right.
And Muhammad had more than 4 at one time in violation of the Quran.
Yeah. While I'm at this, I just want to bring people's attention to something that I'm busy with. Um, Muhammad did what he willed. Okay, do what thou wilt is the whole of the law, right? But Muhammad did as his will allowed, right? He did what he wanted, and this is part of Aleister Crowley, of his beliefs as well. I mean, he was a Satanist, Freemason, all of the above. Created his own religion called Thelema, and I have this that I'm working on at the moment. But are you familiar with Aleister Crowley? That is.
A little bit.
Yeah, I mean, not me much either, but I'm digging into this. But let's just say that he might have found just a tiny little bit of inspiration from Islam, just the tiniest amount. you will find out that Crowley, let's just say, rejects the Bible, rejects the Gospels, rejects Jesus, redefines Jesus, and he found a great deal, shall we say, to like, to praise, and to incorporate from Islam, which is kind of weird, considering Islam is so holy. But let's just say there's a little bit of a connection here that I have not found on any of these channels that discuss Crowley. They'll mention he went to Egypt, and they leave it at that. And I find it really convenient that so many of these channels somehow don't dig into the actual fact of his detailed connections to Islam, to Sufism, and Islamic magic. A lot of people have been asking me to talk about Islamic magic. Well, when you start talking about Islamic magic and Islamic occult, Islamic rituals, and the Sufis, then we're going to have to talk about this guy. Any thought there, Thaddeus, before I go on?
Yeah, I would just say, it ties into what we saw at the beginning of this when we kind of wasn't directly on subject, but I wanted to really emphasize how Muhammad's prophethood began. What we see is hints that he was practicing magic. He was practicing mysticism. He was intentionally trying to tap into the spiritual world. And when you do that, you open yourself up to receiving not what you desired, but a demon instead. And that's exactly what I think happened with Muhammad. And I think that these magical elements are retained, that they are whitewashed out officially, but they're retained. They're retained in the Gnostic secret elements of Islam. And ultimately, a lot of Islam is the practice of traditional pagan magic. It's just not talked about.
Yeah, we're getting really, so Marion's saying the sound is cutting out so bad I can't understand what you're saying. So apparently we're getting some serious, the jinns are attacking us right now.
Yeah, I don't get it. I mean, I'm hearing you perfectly, and presumably you're hearing me perfectly, so I don't
Yeah.
get it. But
And then the last thing I want to end with, maybe from my side, you saw this earlier, Thaddeus, right? Yeah. This is on my community tab. Go have a look. But this is very, very interesting. Suleiman the Magnificent, let's just say he funded Protestantism, and then you may not have heard of something called with Calvinism, known as Calvino-Turkism, became the dominant religion. And yeah, let's just say that's a very deep, dark, weird rabbit hole.